Buff Nation, what up? My BWBs, bandwagon buffs, what's poppin'? What's good with y'all? I'm Harry Billion. I'm realizing there's a lot of questions in college football. College football has more questions than they do have answers. The fans have a lot of questions. What happened on the national title game? That's one of the biggest questions that hasn't been answered yet. And before we get into that question, guys, us as creators, this is how we make our living. Like, straight up trying to tell you the truth. The only way that we survive on YouTube to keep making these type of videos is when you actually engage with us, when you comment, you press the like button, or when you press subscribe. These are the only things that we got to go off of. The percentage is way too high of the people that are watching the video and not subscribing or not even commenting. I'm growing a strong community, but I need the community to get bigger and bigger. If you find this information interesting enough, guys, please give me a subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if I'm doing a good job. I would really appreciate it. It makes my job much easier to do. I go in the comments, we have a conversation, we answer further questions, and I can grow on YouTube, and it'll allow me to keep making these videos. All right, guys? So that's the business. So now let's get into some of these questions. As I'm learning this game, as I'm trying to put my handle on this game, because my thing is, I got to understand this thing in order for me to serve my community. I got to understand this thing to its fullest. Every single time I get one question answered, there's like 10 other questions that develop. College football is complex. And now it reminds me the reason why I didn't really want to mess with college football. There is too much going on with college football. My goodness, do you guys feel this way? I just want to have a simple discussion with you guys. We're serving the college football arena. This is why we're here, college football. I'm a sports channel, but right now I'm dealing with college football. Until something exciting happens over there, I'm going to stay right here. I want to serve you guys. The further I dig into college football, the more I feel like I'm in this vast wasteland that is like question after question after question. The fans are always upset about something. It's like the rules are not set in place. Things are not really set in stone. So we're kind of trying to make it up as we go along. And it just seems like every year there's going to be somebody who is as upset as this guy right here.
On the college football playoff committee, congratulations. You need to pat yourself on the back because you have screwed every college football fan in this country tonight. That's what you have done. You have done that. Look at this right here, 45-7. What is this? What is this? What have you given us? This is a national championship game. That's what this is. It is 45-7. You thought TCU belonged in this game? What was the qualifications, College Football Playoff Committee? What was their qualifications? Getting beat by Kansas State. That qualifies you for this game, the biggest game of the year, the game that every college football fan, no matter what team they pull for, looks forward to. And this is the garbage that you gave us. Pathetic. You are pathetic. This is a disaster. This is a barn fire. And every one of you, not one of you deserves to be on that committee if this is what you think college football is supposed to look like.
He has a serious issue with what's going on with the game of college football. He's somebody's grandfather, I'm sure. And I don't know when was the last time he was in college. I know that they have adult continuing education for college, but I don't think this guy is a college student. I don't want to age shame or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, this guy, he is a serious and compassionate college football fan. But somebody upset this guy. This guy is upset, and it's for a valid reason. The way that this guy's upset got me digging even much deeper into my research to bring you guys some heat. But as I keep digging into my research, the stuff that's coming up is just like, there's no answers. Do you guys feel this way? Okay, so I want to establish something on my channel. I'm going to establish college and professionals. Let me explain. I'm going to have some times where I ask questions, and we're going to have the college people and we're going to have the professionals. So if you are a club member, you're one of those people who you know the game, you've been around long enough to know the game. You kind of know the rules. You may not know every single intricate detail about the rules and stuff like that, but you enjoy the game and you've watched it long enough to understand how it goes, and these are some of the things. I have a lot of people like that here on this channel. You know the rules and everything. I'm going to call you guys the pros. So when I have questions for my pros, when I say my pros, I need you to respond as a pro. My college folks, we're still learning. We obviously, because we're in college, we're still learning. We're still trying to figure this thing out. We're still trying to get our footing. That's why we're in school, so we can learn and then become pros just like you. So it's going to be my college folks. So right now I'm in college because I'm learning college football. I'm a quick learner and I'm trying my best to get my footing in college football. I'm a previous high school athlete, and you know what I'm saying? So I know sports. I know sports like nobody else. But college football is a whole nother vast wasteland that is driving me nuts. It is driving me insane. I don't know how you guys feel out there, but for my pros and for my college folks, let's have a discussion tonight. There's a lot of questions that I feel like we need to talk about. Like, we need to open up a dialogue so that maybe, you never know, maybe the Pac-12 or the NCAA or the people that are in charge to watch these channels so they understand, like, if we make enough noise, maybe they will change some of these rules, because there's a lot of rules that needs to be changed in college football. Let's be frank. One of the biggest issues that college football faces is what transpired on Monday. Did you see that game? Did you see the score? It seemed like every time Georgia touched the ball, they were scoring. He's rightfully upset about this issue. Apparently, this is a big issue. The selection committee, you have 13 people on this committee, and their job is to kind of shuffle the numbers or shuffle the teams when it comes to championship games. Basketball has the brackets. Come championship time or come playoff season, you see the bracket. You can see that big 64 team bracket, and they're breaking it down, and the excitement, March Madness, people losing, people winning. I mean, that excitement, that kind of electricity, why can't that be in football? Why can't they get it right? This 132 team or 131 teams or whatever schools. Is it me or they don't want to? I know I'm ignorant. Please forgive me, my pros. Me and my college folks, we over here and we're listening. We got questions. If you even look into the reason why it finally came to a national title game. For a very long time, when I was watching, as a casual fan watching college sports, the reason why I would just turn off of college sports is just because there was just too much going on. I don't want 1,000 games. You know what I'm saying? Like 1,000 bowl games. When they didn't have a title game, I remember there were so many bowl games that I just remember one time laughing. The bowl games are sponsored by a company, right? So you'll have the Fiesta Bowl, you'll have the Chick-fil-A Bowl, but it was just one thing that just made me laugh and say, okay, I'm done. I forget the name of the bowl game, but it was so ridiculous. I was like, you know what? The Arthritis Bowl or something like that. I feel like they was just making up bowls. I forget what the name of the bowl was, but it was so ridiculous and so silly that I just felt like there is no way that's a bowl game. This is a championship game. There's a lot of different bowls in college football, and it's hard for one to keep up, at least a casual fan. Unless you are a diehard fan, college football fan, it's hard to get connected with a college team, especially if you're not from that town or you went to the college. Talk to me tonight. What are some of the problems that you pros have? If you've been here, you've been in this space for a really long time, what are some of the issues that you guys have been trying to figure out for so long? Can you please type that in the comments for me? I really want to know. I want to do some of this research. I'm going to take some of this information, go research it, and try to see if I can make sense of this whole thing and then do a video and just deliver it. So the biggest issue is, why did they choose TCU to face an NFL team? Who were those NFL players that TCU had to face on Monday? You watch sports movies, guys, like Remember the Titans, or you watch your favorite sports movies. You feel like at a certain point, these are supposed to be high school kids on this other team. But then when they show the other team, you're like, those are not high school kids. There's no way. The game on Monday remind me of The Little Giants, like for real. If you've ever seen the movie The Little Giants, you got the little kids, right? They're about to face this one team that's really about to hurt them, like really about to put the hurts on them. They're supposed to be in the same age group, but then you see them and you're like, there's no way these kids are 9 or 10 years old. There's no way. It felt like that on Monday. Like, really. It's understandable why this guy was so upset. So ESPN has bought the rights until 2025 to air these games. So you want the committee to choose a team that is equally matched on both sides. People got questions because it felt like, for some odd reason, the committee either was playing politics or they just didn't choose, they didn't do it right. So that's another question that comes up. Is there any politics involved in this? Is it possible that there is some politics that's involved? Because whenever you get people, individuals together, there's always going to be lobbyists. There's always going to be somebody that gets lobbied, and then their vote can swayed in a special way. Like, their vote is going to be able to be swayed. That's why I feel like if you don't have a bracket system where these kids can play for it, and you have 13 people who can be lobbied, I feel like there could be some politics that can creep up into this whole system. For my pros, do you guys know that there is some politics that can creep up in the system? Obviously, these are people from different walks of life. Like, you got Condoleezza Rice, who's on the board, right? And then you got other people like Archie Manning, because of health, he couldn't do it. If you remember Condoleezza Rice, she's the Secretary of State. She's on that board. Take the Grammys. Those people have artists. If you are a voting member of the Grammys and you know somebody who manages this artist and you guys are having dinner or you're having lunch and stuff like that, they're gonna get in your ear. They're gonna be like, yo, son, look out for me this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need Meg Thee Stallion. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not the best rapper, but I need her. Put some heat on her. Give her a few Grammys. Like, the argument comes up all the time. If that's your favorite artist, I'm just making an example. I'm sorry. Because you have 13 individuals who could be lobbied by anyone. How are they choosing these teams? How are these, like, is there a metrics? I know that there's a metrics. I know that they have criteria that they gotta go by. I've done the research, so I know there's a criteria. The criteria is very convoluted. It's so uneasy to follow that I'm having to do more research to try to understand it. I wanna know from you guys, what do you guys think about this rule? Like, should there be a bracket system? Should there be some type of system where these kids just play for it, like just straight out play for it? Another question that comes up is why there can't be 8 teams. There are 6 major bowls. They call them the NY6. Like New York, we always win. You guys know that we're the baddest. Even though it's the New Year's Bowl, like NY, once you put NY to it, like our name is going to ring regardless. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm flexing right now. If you guys didn't know that, like I'm flexing because, you know what I'm saying? Like the NY6, holla. I want to make some people mad today. You're going to go to the comments and it's not the New York 6, it's the New Year's Eve 6. Like, but it's NY. It says NY, so who cares? The first thing you think about is New York. We're going to call it a New York 6. So there's 6 bowl games that are the major ones. You got the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl, you got the Peach Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowl. That's your NY6. That's your New York 6. The baddest city in the world. Some of us like, yo, it's not the biggest. I know it's not the biggest, but we're the baddest. The people that win those bowls, that's considered your semifinal. Some questions that have come up is, why can there be more like 8 instead of 4? And then if there is 8, how do you do it? Do you increase the bowl games or do you increase the bowl? There's a lot of questions that are surrounding college football. And fans, when it comes playoff time, they're upset. There's a lot of questions surrounding rules. There's a lot of rules. Some of the fans want to be changed. We need to get some of these questions answered. I need to understand it. Some of this stuff is it just goes on. You find out one answer, but then the answer is not necessarily an answer. It's almost like a cover, not necessarily an answer, because they really haven't figured it out yet. So something is working out in the back offices. For some reason, somebody wanted to be the way that it is. Somebody's benefiting. I try to read between the lines. This system is weird and nobody's trying to answer it. Why? Like the whole NIL situation, for years, they didn't want to change it where kids can get money for their name, image, and likeness. They didn't want to change that. So somebody was benefiting and now they changed it. So we all know about the situation where Nick Saban, he tweeted, oh, they're paying somebody $1 million over there in Jackson State. Him and Coach Prime had a little bit of beef. The whole picturesque thing that they had on national TV where they were sitting next to each other to make it seem like 50 Cent and Ja Rule has squashed their beef. I ain't trying to start nothing, guys. I'm just a commentator, okay? So why is there so many questions that are not being answered? Who's benefiting? Because whenever the rules are not going to change, it's very hard to change that rule or somebody's benefiting. If I'm off base, somebody please let me know out there. In basketball, they figured it out because these are the same schools we're talking about. So if they're able to figure it out in basketball, have a whole 64-game bracket where these kids play for it and stuff like that, if they can figure that out, why is it that football is still the same way? Why do you have so many divisions? How do you have so many teams? There's so much going on, and there's so many questions that the fans have that have not been answered. And I wonder why they are like that. They got to figure this out. That's why I wanted to come to you guys today, and I wanted to understand, pros that are here, since you guys understand college football very well, can you guys help us out? What are some of the questions that you guys, even as pros, have? And then for my college people, what are some questions you have? Some things that you're like, I don't understand why they're doing this. What are your feelings about Coach Prime sitting next to Nate Saban? Do you think that was a power move? Because we already talked about how Coach Prime is very strategic. Now, if you didn't know, he didn't stick around. Thanks to Jay in the comments. Coach Prime did not stick around for that game. Coach Prime, that CBS interview that you see, he did that interview when he left. He took a private jet, came to the game, did what he had to do, show his face because he's the hottest thing spinning right now, and then he jetted out. Some of the questions that you guys have is going to make it easier for other people to understand the game. Trying to get answers, you have to know what questions to ask before you even start seeking the answer. Because whenever you follow the money, you start getting the truth behind certain things. Some things are uncovered, some truths are uncovered. That's what I'm ascertaining, my favorite word of 2022. Last year, ascertain was one of my favorite words. I feel like a lot of the decisions and a lot of the reasons why things haven't really changed and moved in the right direction, it might be because somebody in the background is making a lot of money and they don't want to change it. Just like we have this whole racism thing that is hard to get rid of. And I feel like because it's such a big bank, a lot of youth, a lot of white kids, a lot of black kids are ready to change. But because there's so much money in racism that it's very hard for us to even have a conversation. When I start talking about race relations, when it comes to like Dion being at a white school and stuff like that, on a light surface, people are ready to pounce like, oh, we've had 3 coaches that were black and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I'm not talking about that. Whenever money is involved, it's very hard for things to change. So I bet if I start following the money, I will start getting more answers, okay? So all of these questions are out here, but I want to hear from my pros and I want to hear from my college people. I want to thank you for helping me to make it over 2,000 subscribers, and I want to really thank you guys for your support and for helping me, always going in the comments and supporting me. I thank you for that, guys. We have a lot more growing to do, but for right now, I just want to say thank you for always supporting me. Let's have a discussion about what's going on, guys. I will see y'all on the next video, and I will see y'all in the comment section. I'm Harry B with TLP Sports Club. Brah.